He's Mickey. She's Candace. I'm Gerard. And today on Canceled Weekly, Ruslan crosses Adam 22. Neil deGrasse Tyson talks whatever. But first, Timcast in real life.
Don't know how to address an envelope. They don't know how to read cursive.
He's talking about Gen Z.
They don't know how to read a paper map. They can't get anywhere unless there's a GPS map on their phone. All I'm saying is if Gen Z takes over the world, it's going to be pretty easy to get it back. We're just going to write our battle plans in cursive on a piece of paper.
That actually is a true story. We talked about it before.
Look at her face.
Where, well, so there's that story where they did the war game and the younger guys lost to the older guys, and it's because like the older guys wrote their plans on a note and put it in the guy's pocket and wrote it by motorcycle, and they were trying to like intercept messages. People talk about it. They tell us the specifics. But Isabel then goes on to mention that you were supposed to teach us.
Yeah.
And that's the most brutal thing about it. That woman, she's telling a joke. It's fine. It's a joke.
That you were going to teach us stuff is kind of interesting, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That, made
that's
me,
an
that was
interesting
a
point.
thinker at the end.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I think it's very funny as a comedian. I do it all the time. Ripping on Gen Z always is good for a laugh because these people give you so much to rip on. But we talk about it a lot on our other shows. Like if it's gonna happen, if this Civil War apocalypse is gonna happen, let's happen now because I wanna have some say over
These
this.
guys are gonna age out. These old decrepit fucks aren't taking shit back.
I don't want Gen Z at the wheel. I don't have a lot of faith in these kids, man. And it is partly our fault. But you decided to bring children into this world. They're coming up where Gen Z is going to be their leaders. What do you think about that?
The clip was hilarious, and then the end actually just I feel flipped it really quickly, and I was like, wow, that's actually really sad.
Yeah.
And it's accurate. You were supposed, that is your job. It is to help the younger ones understand how to operate and
teach
succeed.
one, bring them up.
Right.
Yeah.
That is your responsibility. So, I mean, we have failed our young people. I don't think that there's any arguing that. So now what can you do? So you can look at it like they're failed, let's forget it. Or you can try to create some kind of change and influence. And how do you do that? I think that's what's important. And bringing young people into the world, there's this horrible quote where this man says bringing children into the world is like running into a house, like a burning house with Kindle. Like it doesn't make any sense. And I think that, I don't know, I fundamentally disagree.
That's dark even for me.
It's super dark. And then there's the Dave Chappelle perspective, which is if you know you're a good person and you have something to teach, it is your duty to bring children into the world, to bring goodness into the world. So I don't know, I feel like there's always hope.
I subscribe more to that too, more to the latter. Yeah.
Me too. Yes.
Yeah, the good people need to have kids. And listen, I don't think Gen Z is that bad. I think they just put the bad Gen Z on camera. The kids you meet, the kids that are coming up in this world, they hate their own generation or whatever more than we do. You know, they see it. They're around these people all the time.
How did you guys feel about your own
stuff.
generation when you were growing up?
Pretty good.
You felt good about it?
I feel like
I thought everyone blamed us for they kind of did the same thing. Like millennials are lazy and useless and they don't want to work. That was the narrative forever.
Nah, I think we nailed it. I was, the 80s babies growing up in the 90s and early 2000s. We did it. We had it. We were like, we loved America, but we didn't like our government. And then, the whole Fight Club thing where, we're not your fucking khakis. I think there was a really healthy counterculture in the 90s where we still had some post-Vietnam, post-Cold War perspective on the world. And then 2000, 2001 became victims of our own success. We're the world's only superpower. The veil got pulled back after 9/11. 9/11 changed everything. Everything as far as...
I was in 4th grade for 9/11.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking even after that, thinking like we were like pretty soft. Like being in high school, seeing all the people around me and being like, I don't want to be anything like them.
Well, if you were in 9/11, so then...
And I got to imagine it's only gotten worse.
So Obama was 2008 for you. The America Sucks stuff started the 2007 Obama campaign because we were apologizing for Bush.
What about George Bush?
We were apologizing for Bush. Bush's last term was a disaster. Afghanistan, Iraq. I mean, he's a war criminal. The fact that he's, a friend of corporate media and the George W. Biden campaign, or presidency now, they're changing his legacy. That he's a good old funny George Bush. It's very interesting to live to watch this cycle happen.
So you were proud of your generation even during it?
Yeah, I was. I thought that we were tough. I thought we weren't as racist as the generations before us, but we weren't as soft as the generation. I feel like the pendulum was swinging, maybe is the better way to put it. Like, Me Too, for example, happened, long after I was out of college and shit like that. But Me Too had a purpose, right? Like, Me Too existed for a reason. Anybody who's ever seen old, not The Price is Right, what's the one, Family Feud, where Richard Dawson
Kissing
is
everybody on the
just mouth raping women, like Me Too existed.
Marvelous, lady. That's for luck. Come here. So rude.
But there's a pendulum that swung too far with like Aziz Ansari and all those guys who just had bad dates were getting canceled, right? And the same thing, racism existed. It was very bad. And then the pendulum swung too far where, now the only way to not be racist is to be racist against somebody else, right? So I think we my generation, that 90s, early 2000s, we caught that pendulum swing in the middle, and we
in a good spot.
Kind of got it right.
How did you feel, Candace?
I don't know if I ever really thought of myself as like a part of a collective back then. Like, I don't think.
What about like the people around you, your peers? What was your perspective?
I never
them?
fit in. Like, I always felt like super isolated on the outside, and I never really understood it. And I didn't go to good schools. We moved around a ton, and it was people getting into like drugs and sex way too early, and I was super quiet and shy, so I just didn't have a lot of friends because I didn't participate in any of that. And now I look back and I'm really thankful for it, because most of those people, they're not doing anything. They're in the same hometown, never really developed a career or a passion. They kind of just continued to drift. So I don't think around me I was anything there was to be like proud of. You know what I mean?
I feel like
I was like, get me out of here.
My generation, and maybe the generation just before me, were the test tube babies for the everybody go to college, everybody take on debt. We were kind of at the front lines of that stuff. So a lot of us didn't realize the world like that we were walking into might be fucked up. Like, there was so much. I'll tell you this: we trusted the system.
I still thought, if you went to college, you would get a job, you would be sorted,
100,
follow the rules.
Go to college, get a job, buy a house,
Settle down.
Trust the science, trust your government, 100%. There was none of there was
I'm
no
talking more interpersonally, like the people around you.
Yeah. But I think
I agree. I felt the same way on that.
Maybe,
I feel like that's a lot of people become awakened to that as they get older.
Maybe, but I think the disconnect
is that's what we're taught. We're propagandized into that.
I think the disconnect is Gen Z has access to this information and they're still on board with the bullshit. They're still woke. They're still canceling people. Like, so you're looking at these kids going, how are you obedient? Do none of you kids get detention? Do none of you guys ever act out? Like how did it become cool to be, a
sheep?
Yeah, that was never. Don't you smoke in the bathroom? Don't you vape under the bleachers or something, kid? Like, yeah.
But there's still the group, though, that's telling other people what to do and how to behave. So even though they are acting like they are conforming and they are very herd-like, at the same time, they're looking at, the wolves and they're like, I'm more powerful because I'm telling you to put your mask on. I'm telling you to follow the rules.
Yeah, and maybe this is just completely wrong, but I'm telling you, man, I just feel like soft. Like, a group of 18-year-olds, man, when I was
that's how I
was in school, like we fuck somebody up. Now if I saw like a group of 18-year-olds out here, I'd be like, get out of here, kid.
Yeah. I saw the softness coming.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You were kind of in that second phase there of like that, let's apologize and let's everybody be softer, gentler, more in tune with our. You gotta remember the music I was listening to was DMX, Korn, the Wu-Tang Clan. Like, this is the stuff that was top of the charts. It wasn't
we had Eminem and Ludacris getting canceled.
Yeah.
For, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we still had Backstreet Boys, don't get me wrong, but like, you can go to like Total Request Live, back before Back to age myself here, back before iTunes and all that stuff, we'd hustle home from school to watch Total
my
Request
favorite
Live,
thing. I love
TRL,
that. Yeah.
and it was like 1 week Korn would be top of the charts, and then it would be Method Man and Redman, and then it would be like Britney Spears. We were all over the place, eclectic. You know, like now you're not allowed to do that. You have your tribes, the tribalism that you were talking about. It's like, oh, you like this and this? That's bullshit. You got to get a team, have a team.
Yeah.
You know, you like the women's national team or something? That's bullshit. You know, I remember watching Lil Wayne become a skater, being like, yo, that's fucking cool, man. Black guys are skating. Like, that's wild. You know, it's like
didn't
he's
know
a
they could
skater.
do that.
No, it's just not something that they did. You know, it's, you know, and for a time there was a joke, but we thought it was a really good thing. The joke was the best golfer in the world is black and the best rapper in the world is white. And we all just laughed about it. Like I'm telling you, there was a lot more racial harmony. 2007, Obama started it.
Started the split?
Yes. So 2011 is where, in retrospect, I felt it then. I was aware of it then, but as I've gone back and thought about it and tried to ascertain like what's happened and when, 2011 is kind of our flashpoint paradox. That's where all this stuff really kicked into overdrive. And so now we're 12, 13 years in on it. That's a long time to be propagandized, man. Yeah. Demoralized. I mean, you guys ever seen, what's the guy's name? Sergey Prigozhin? Active Measures?
Nah. I haven't seen Sergey Prigozhin.
Prigozhin? I forget his name. But if you got anybody listening to this,
look up Sergey
Look
Prigozhin.
up Active Measures.
Is he Armenian?
Nah, he's a Russian dissident that was running propaganda campaigns. And he talked about Active Measures, how they were doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Look up Active Measures. It'll blow your mind. You know what else will blow your mind?
Blow it, dude.
This next clip where Ruslan and Adam 22 are the angel and the devil on our shoulders.
Line, and you know, have we genuinely ever looked at the scriptures and considered that maybe Jesus is who he says he is? Maybe he is God. Maybe he's not a liar. Maybe he's not a lunatic. Maybe he's not a good prophet. And genuinely repented of our ways and tried it God's way.
I 1,000% believe in God and Jesus and know all of that.
That wasn't what I asked.
But you don't understand my point of view.
Like, what would happen if all of society actually implemented the wisdom of God? Like, genuine question. If people waited until marriage to have...
Truthfully, you're asking me about religion?
Specifically about Jesus.
About Jesus?
Hedging your faith on the resurrection
Jesus
of
loves
Jesus.
me. I know that.
And living your
Girl
life.
been partying, huh?
With Miley Cyrus.
That's all
I'm
I can
a
say.
woman of God.
Yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that.
Personally, you know, I've done quite a bit of research and digging and trying to convince myself that Jesus was a real person or that I should be invested in his teachings. Haven't really been too convinced, so I'm still kind of waiting to be convinced that this is something I should put my energy into. The vast majority of thinkers that I respect or read or listen to are atheists. So for me personally, it's not really an issue. Like, there's just not enough evidence to me that there's anything of value to offer from Christianity. It's like, realistically, probably the best thing that you could do is like fall in love, get into a relationship with a girl, get married, split your expenses, have a family, etc. once you feel comfortable financially. But like, you know, we just live in a society where we're constantly surrounded by people who are putting on examples of doing the other thing, which is basically like mindlessly chasing and you know, highs and money or whatever for your whole life. And that is kind of like a weird thing that the Manosphere has to sort of reckon with, which is that somebody like Andrew Tate being like at the forefront of the Manosphere now, it's like you can't really necessarily just be pushing an agenda of like, yo, as many girls as possible, because Andrew Tate is out here saying like, no, that is not going to make you happy in the long run. And anyone who's really being honest with you is going to let you know that's not going to make you happy in the long run.
That was very profound. And I think what we're saying is, statistically speaking, the majority of men and women will have kids. What is the optimal way to build a family? If we're talking about dating, we're talking about relationships, what's the optimal way to cause the most amount of flourishing to the most amount of people? And what has worked through and through all these civilizations? I think that's the crux of what we're getting on. So what you're saying is totally spot on. And it's not red pill, blue pill to me. There's a lot of goofy things from both sides, a lot of nonsense being put.
All right. Well, the first thing that stands out to me is that it's hilarious how Adam 22 changes his voice changes depending on whether his guest is white or black. That to me is the funniest thing.
A little chameleon action.
A little like, what's up, Key and Peele? Yeah.
See, I kind of feel like
I worked with a guy at Valuetainment who did the exact same thing.
yeah, what's his name? Never mind. Anyway,
something 22. And yeah. So yeah, that's hard for me to get over. He also, he's talking about being an atheist, but I think he grew up Jewish. So I mean, Judaism and
Adam
atheism.
22.
Yeah. So
I'm kind of surprised after watching his girl get banged by homeboy. He's not like motherfucker need Jesus. He's like, you know what I mean? I think we gotta change these paradigms.
I think it's the other way. I think he saw his girl get banged and he goes, "There is no God." What do you think, Candace?
Well, I believe in God, and I don't think that just because you believe in it or don't believe in it, having the argument based off of scripture to someone that doesn't subscribe doesn't make any sense. There's no conversation to be had. So you have to agree on the foundations before you can have that argument. Sure. So if you want to talk about what is going to make the best society, sure, it's people having children, taking care of those children. But to say that that has to only be monogamous doesn't make sense, because civilization and this idea of settling down in the nuclear family is the newest experiment.
The Judeo-Christian worldview.
Right, it's the newest experiment in Homo sapiens. So if you go back, and there were tribes where you would have sperm competition. So when the woman was fertile, she would actually pick all of the males in the tribe. She would have sex with every single one of them. And then that way, all of those males were responsible for protecting that kid.
Yeah, they don't know whose it is.
Right. It was like, that is everyone's child. And there's different ways to look at it. Like, I know a lot of people...
They do that with execution squads. I don't know if you know that.
They do
line
what?
Up the execution squads. They line up 10.
Of course you
so
take
they don't
it
know
there.
who shot the guy?
Yeah, there's only
firing
one
squad.
Firing squad.
Only one guy's
But
got
that
one
is
bullet.
to take responsibility away. This one is to give responsibility to everyone else.
Facts.
And don't you think it would be the most beneficial to every society if we treated every kid like our child?
Yeah.
So in Japan, you have these little stickers that... Stop. You have these little stickers that you put on a kid, and then they, like 3-4 years old, are allowed to go just explore the city. They're doing the subway by themselves, and it's because everyone looks at that child like, that is my responsibility. Mm-hmm. And if I need to help that child go across the street, figure out the subway, get home, whatever it is, like, they take that responsibility and duty onto themselves. And to me, like, that is the most like masculine you can be. That is the most feminine you can be, is like taking care of. So I think we have a responsibility to make sure our young people are protected and thriving. And if you're like, that's not my kid, not my problem, fuck kids, whatever it is, that attitude is way more degrading to a society than if you were to have something, and you go back to the bonobos, where everyone has more of like this open relationship with sexuality and sex, and you don't approach things with like competition and ego, but love and from a lighter place.
Mm-hmm. To me, those are two extremes that you're saying. Like, it's either the whole Hillary Clinton, the child, it's a child of the community type of deal. That I don't ascribe to that. The child is the parent's responsibility. That family has the right to raise their kids however they see fit, inside or outside of societal's norms. The family, the nuclear family, is responsible for the kid, in my mind, in my personal opinion. Now, I'm not saying that that now the answer to that, the antithesis to what you're saying is, well, just because I don't think the kid is the community's problem means that the kid should die on the street. That's not what I'm saying either. But I don't think in this idea of like the community raises the kid and we're...
Why?
Because I don't personally feel like that is... One, I don't think that that's beneficial. And two, I don't think that that's in our nature. I don't think it's beneficial because if you've ever been coached by multiple people, it's more confusing than anything else. One voice is needed. One voice, one North Star, one direction to move you.
I don't necessarily agree. I think it would be ideal if you were out there driving your car, you didn't feel like the cops were like ball busters. You felt like they were big brothers.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You felt like they were like... I think the whole thing, our tribal nature, even though we've expanded to this grand scale where there's so many people, such a big population, we should still keep those tribal tenets where we're still looking out for one another. I think that's the ideal way for sure. I don't think that one voice shit. I think each one teach one, everybody takes care of each other is really the ideal way, and I think we need to get back to that a lot more. It's a shame that we've lost that. It's almost crazy even hearing you say that.
No, it's not, because there are limited resources, and the entire history of our species has been a competition for resources.
There is not limited resources, and that's been debunked. It goes back to like people arguing for depopulation because there's not enough food, enough land. It's like that's not true. You can fit everyone into Texas, so there's plenty of resources. The mistake, the myth, is thinking that there's competition over resources, and this goes back to relating humans and our evolution to either apes or bonobos. So the argument that you're taking is like more apes based, right? It's competition, it's thriving, it's territory.
The vanilla gorilla.
That's one perspective, right? And certainly some people have that in their DNA, but there's also the opposite that also exists. And because of our brains and our ability to be like go within and kind of decide what do I want to be in personal development, you can decide to be the ape or you can decide to be the bonobo. And I've seen both, and I've seen relationships where you have someone that was engaged to someone else, and then their engagement broke up, and that ex-fiance is now friends with the wife, and like there is no competition. They don't see it as like that's my ex and I have to flex on an ego. It's just way more like harmonious.
I totally get it. I think that the reason why I'm skeptical of human nature is because I know I have it in me. If I see something I want and somebody else has it, then I want to be able to compete for it or whatever. There's the darkness that lies there, and it takes one person to destroy an entire building, to bring down the towers. It takes one person. It takes
we got to eradicate
thousands
that person.
of people
Destroy
to build
that person. They're the bad person. They're the problem, not everybody else.
It takes 1,000 people to build a building, one person to blow it up. So
I mean, and then that one person's wiped. Now we got 1,000 people to build it back up. If we're all on the same wavelength there, when you see a little kid, you want to be his big brother, his uncle. What's your instinct? To be like, fuck off, kid.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. It's not what I'm saying whatsoever. But it's also not my responsibility to pay for the kid.
It's not your responsibility,
it's not my responsibility to.
If you want to if the kid's wandering around and you want to buy him an ice cream cone, God bless you.
So,
but it is your responsibility to make sure when he's in your eye view, to make sure that kid's okay.
So Casey Anthony's in my tribe, and now she's running around fucking being fucking everybody, living her best life, and now every responsibility that she refuses to accept falls on the rest of us. How many of those people that don't pull their weight?
Could you explain that a little more?
Sure.
And maybe I can rock with you, but right now I can't.
Have you ever been in a? I mean, think back to college when you were in a had a group project, a team project. 2 people do all the work.
Right.
4 people, 5 people along for the ride. Almost always. Right? Same thing. There are leaners and there are lifters in every business. There are leaners and there are lifters. I think I read once that in corporations, the top 1% of the corporation do something like 90% of the work. Top 1% performers do 90% of the work.
And everyone else is just on the coattails.
Yeah, they're just fucking, I'll do a little bit here, I'll do a little bit there.
Dead weight.
Sure, but they get compensation and it's fine, whatever. So now I'm in a situation where I get all these people who just want to live their best life. They want to live in this, what do they call it? Arrested development, kids forever, 40-year-olds still going out to the bar.
Well, those people obviously
need to
obviously those people need to take more responsibility as well.
Okay, but they decide not to. We're in a utopia, and there's nobody that's gonna put hands on them.
The good people will step up for the bad people's deficits.
I'm not gonna do it. Just throw it that way. I'm doing personal accountability. I am the reason communism can't work. I'm the reason communism can't work. The second I work harder than that motherfucker for less, done. I'm out. I'm not working hard anymore. The second it happens, I'm not your sucker. You work hard. And then you see me while working hard, and I'm getting the same amount as you stop working hard. And it's a cascading effect. So one person decides they want to have a kid.
Now we're talking about communism?
Well, this is communal living. This is the basis of communism.
Well, so communism can be bad, but community can be good.
Sure. I think community is great because community, you're allowed to kick people in and out of your community, and there's certain levels of success and failure within a community. It can organically weed itself out. Somebody doesn't pay their bills, they can't be in your community anymore. And it's not my fault. And it's not my responsibility. And maybe I just don't have that empathy gene everybody else does. But I got to pay my fucking bills.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of an empathy thing. I feel like you're also holding on to almost like playing devil's advocate here.
No, I'm not playing devil's advocate, but I'm not. It's sounding more callous than I intend it to sound. Where like if there's a baby on the street, I'm not going to kick it like a football. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. Right. I'll do whatever I have to do to like find this baby's mother, like make sure that baby's safe. That's my instinct as well. But
that's why you're saying otherwise.
But if that baby ends up on the sidewalk every fucking day, by day 3 I'm gonna be like, yo, whose fucking baby is this?
Yeah. That's fine too.
I'm not going to be like, well, it's my responsibility as part of the community to take care of this baby every day.
We're not advocating being a pushover. Are you advocating being a pushover?
Should I take care of that baby every day?
No, you should absolutely say, whose fucking baby is this?
But there's different levels of how you're going to solve that problem. So like I would say it would be idiotic that all you do is like scoop up the baby and then put it back in its place. It's like, okay, well then how can I like figure out a more permanent situation for this kid?
Yeah.
But like, is there going to be like a certain amount of time?
Should that woman stay in the tribe who keeps leaving her baby?
I never said about keeping someone indefinitely who's not pulling their weight, but I am saying the idea that monogamy is the only way, that this Judeo-Christian way of living is the only way that anyone can live in order for us to thrive is absolute nonsense, because we've done it for much longer than we've done what we're doing now. That's my point. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with monogamy at all. Like I think it works for most people. But
are you even talking about monogamy though?
Well, that's what the clip. So the clip
right.
was like,
you did bring it back to the clip. Yeah. I feel like you weren't talking about really that.
No.
We weren't really talking about that at all.
No. We talked about this in one of our earlier episodes when you were on Slick and Thick. Brett Weinstein had a great explanation of kind of like the evolution of monogamy, like why it existed through monogamy really came into place during that mini ice age in the Middle Ages. And there was resource scarcity, serious resource scarcity. And the idea of, I need farmers, so I got to make them, right? And then I got to make sure that these farmers don't kill me in the middle of the night, so they got to be my kids. And I'm like, she can't be having his kids, and then there's competition for those resources, and then dad wants to be the head of the field team and this and that.
Right.
So there was hierarchy, and it was necessary because you were either a farmer or a soldier at that point in our development. You as a man, you had 2 jobs. You were a farmer, a smith, or you were a worker or you were a fighter. That's what you did, right? Unless you were royalty.
Right, but that's way after we settled. So like the true introduction is once we settled, right? Once we stopped like roaming and hunting and gathering. So it was once we became farmers, like you said. Yeah. And then it was like, who am I going to pass the farm down to? And I need to know that it's mine, because then that's when more ego and greed started happening, right? And it's mine and I built it. And sure, I get it, but there was a transition. And up until that point, it wasn't looked at so obviously as these people are trying to make it out to be. There was more communal. And it goes back to, even if there was scarcity, it was actually more important to share than to hoard, because things would spoil. So you were building goodwill between members of your tribe. And it's not everyone's welcome in the tribe, right? Tribes were really small and selective. Right. So it wasn't hoarding. It was, I'm going to share. So when I have a shitty day and my family's at a deficit, that you're going to show up for me. So it was your responsibility to make sure everyone was thriving. Just like, I don't know, it's just a different perspective.
Yeah, but to me that's natural and innate. Like if it's my cousin's kids, I'll do everything I possibly can. That's our tribe. Like we're not all in this together. I don't feel like we are. I really don't. Because there's just too many people that take advantage of that empathy. For my tastes, anyway. There's other people that don't, and good for them, because they'll take care of those kids and they'll take care of those people. But I'm a little Darwinian when it comes to that. Not my chair, not my fucking problem.
Well, tell us what you think.
Now that I sound like King Douche, there's actually some palate cleansers. People worse than me that'll make me sound better.
Oh, that'll be a relief.
Yeah.
If there's someone that's very, very young and goes into a marriage and has kids when they're like 18, 19, 20, a year into the relationship, it gets really, really abusive. Even though it might be rare from what you guys think.
It is.
If it would happen, what would you recommend for those people? Would they divorce, or do you want them to keep going in the relationship?
Keep going. You can't divorce, and that's not a real thing.
Even though it might be like physically abusive?
Because you got to endure. People are too...
You want to stick into the relationship?
People are just... people nowadays are just...
For anyone that might be in that situation, what would you recommend?
Okay, endure.
I'll tell you what.
It is such an extreme example that I can't give a prescription for what other people should do.
What about if 2 people get married, they have a kid, and then the wife starts cheating? Do you think they should divorce?
Jesus himself said in
Crucifixion.
cases of adultery, divorce is
So you think that
permissible.
divorce is worse than physical abuse?
For the
Or
children?
cheating, sorry. You think that
Cheating
cheating
is
is worse than physical abuse?
abuse.
For the
Sorry.
children, yes.
Absolutely
I think
not.
I'm not going to.
That guy's trolling, right? That guy's.
No. That's
He
for
doesn't
real.
really believe that.
I think
He
he
just
really
said crucifixion.
He really believes that.
I feel he's being hyperbolic.
Yeah, he's got to be trolling. There's no way. So
Should we take him seriously though?
Should we? What do you,
Is it-
Candace?
is-
You,
or
you,
is
I think
that,
so. I
like-
think you're responsible for the content that you put out there, and you have young people consuming it. So take
You
responsibility.
think he's trolling?
No,
you
I
think
think
he's genuine.
I think he thinks that.
Could you explain what you think he thinks?
that's
again?
Destiny's wife again.
Yes. Yeah.
Whose?
Destiny's. He's the guy with the blue hair.
Who can't get a word in edgewise?
No, he's amazing. I highly recommend his content to anyone. I'm a really big fan of Destiny. My interpretation of what he believes is that if you are a woman or wife, it is your responsibility to endure for good, for bad, whatever, like you took these vows. So regardless if your husband is cheating on you, regardless if your husband is beating you, it is the wife's job to endure because she is supposed to submit.
Till
And
death
then-
do us part.
Till death do us part. Like he said, divorce isn't a thing, which like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then you have also the perspective that if the wife cheats, then that is grounds for divorce. So he's allowed
It's like
to
a double standard.
Right. So he's allowed to cheat, he's allowed to hit, and that if the wife is cheating, that is worse on the kids and the family than if the husband is abusing the wife.
You drew the same conclusions from that? That's what you got out of that too? That's what he was saying?
It's hard for me to believe that what they're saying is
Take 'em serious?
to take them
But
seriously.
why would you say something that crazy?
I've said way crazier things just to get a giggle. But the
They're not comedians.
He
though.
wanted to get on Canceled Weekly, I think.
that's what it is.
Maybe he was trying
yeah,
to troll
I don't.
and be
It's
a
hard
little-
for me to tell because there's so much of this Manosphere shit that it's so counterintuitive that I feel like they're saying things specifically for views. I feel like they're saying things
I
specifically
feel
to
like that
be.
goes on too.
Yeah, they're just trying to be as controversial
Be
and salacious.
inflammatory,
Yeah.
say some salacious
Yeah,
shit.
listen,
and-
if you're a girl and you're in a physically abusive relationship, get the fuck out
Absolutely.
immediately.
Yeah.
Nobody has their
especially
rights.
if there's kids. It's a matter
the
of
kids
time.
out
Even
there.
more so,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, if you're hitting a woman, it is a minute away until you can justify hitting the kid. A minute away.
Yeah.
So it is your responsibility, especially as the mother, to protect the children. So if you are getting hit, get the fuck out.
Yeah, physical
protect your
or
kids.
emotional trauma.
Yeah,
you
get
need to
out.
protect them from. And
Can you spank your kids though?
different strokes, man.
So
Literally.
My belief when
hopefully.
it comes to like physical punishment with kids, I don't subscribe to it. The research doesn't say that it helps. I think
Right.
if you're going to do it, you have to do it like with the code of the samurai, right? So it's if you're going to chop someone's head off, you don't do it right after he spits in your face because then you're filled with anger and anger is making that decision for you. You leave the room, you wait till you come back, and then you come in and you chop off the head. So you're doing it with integrity, you're doing it with purpose, and you're doing it with clarity. You're not doing it based off of emotion.
Revenge is like serving cold cuts.
I don't follow.
If the salad's not on top, I send it back. Yeah, it's The Office. I don't know, man. There is a certain amount of fuck around and find out. I think young men need in their lives.
Well, then you have to talk about age too.
I've heard like Candace saying from psychologists, they don't agree with hitting the kid. Right?
It doesn't
like
show
says,
an improvement in behavior.
You're looking at this. You're looking at this
psychologists also
person.
tell kids to fucking transition at 13 years old.
Do you want a kid that submits though, and that cowers, and that is just going to fall in line?
Yeah, anyone who
I
could
was hitting,
physically
I don't
abuse
submit,
them,
and I
they
don't
could.
cower.
You know what I mean? But the big thing that I connected with is like you're looking at this person for love and protection, and that same person, like your father, your mother, whatever, that's the person who's then beating your ass.
Sure.
And making you feel weaker than all hell, and making you feel the worst.
Sure. There's
right. So that's a deterrent. That's a downside. I can also speak. I know I was way more fucking respectful, and because I was scared what would happen if I went home.
No doubt.
And I acted like an asshole somewhere, and shit. They were gonna call my dad. Fuck.
I know, but I guess the third option is there a way to get your kid to listen to you or to do the right thing without the use of fear or of physical punishment? Like, can you get them to really want you, like want your respect, want your approval, want your love, and do it because it's the right thing?
I think love is the way. But also, I think there's also going to have to be a lot of output and energy poured in by the parent to, facilitate that type of relationship where we can talk about everything and you can have to talk in circles because kids are going to be thick. I almost feel like the physical punishments can bridge that gap until they're old enough to really understand in a way. You know what I mean? But also at the same time, it could traumatize them and fuck them up in some other way.
I want my kid, no matter what they do, no matter how fucking bad it is, to feel that they can come to me. And that they can come to me and I'm going to help them get out of it. Not necessarily to not to clean up their mess, but to help, I should say, get them through it, right? Like, how do we get through this together? Like, I'm on your team no matter what. So I don't want them to lie to me because like, oh, if I go to mom, she's going to whack me. Or if I go to dad, he's going to beat me. Like, we are
I was afraid
unit.
to lie because I'd get whacked too.
If they find out, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be double bad.
Yeah, I would rather them come to me and know that they can, and I've got their back no matter what. That's my baby. It's ride or die. Like,
I think it's
hand me
hard
a
for
shovel.
parents who are like they're working all day, then they come home, they have a couple hours, and
It's
they
exhausting.
it's got to be so
But
exhausting.
then it's lazy, and then why'd you have kids in the first place? It's your
Right,
duty
if you're not going
to
to pour yourself all out for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I do think that's the ideal way, and doing it like with love. Like we were talking about, like the impulsivity of like young men too. How like we're wild men, we do crazy shit, but I know always like my parents' love is why I'm gonna make sure I don't die young. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that to them. So I need to be responsible, and through their loves, like, can teach a lot of responsibility.
And I guess the question too is, in any other relationship, if it's with a spouse, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a business associate, let's say a dog even, right? If they're not listening or if they're misbehaving, are you allowed to whack them?
A dog, what?
A dog, like let's say a dog, like really, like you
I
see
think
how some
a
parents,
whack on the nose sometimes
that's
could be good for a
different.
dog.
Like when parents spank or slap or do worse, that's not a whack on the nose. And then are you gonna like give your wife a whack on the nose because she's not listening?
How many times
Why
have I
not?
told her?
Yeah.
But why not? Like, so she has more of an ability to defend herself than your child, right? She has more of a conception of what's going on and the ability to have a constructive conversation or to just like go against,
Yeah,
right?
it's almost like it's an imperfect teaching tool.
It just doesn't make sense if you can't apply it across the board. Why
But
can
I feel
hit
sometimes
this?
you can't reason with kids the same way.
I disagree.
Are you a pacifist in all things? Do you think that
I'm not a
violence
pacifist.
does violence ever have a
No, I'm not
place?
a pacifist at all. I'm not a pacifist at all. I think that there's absolutely a time and place for violence, 100%. Like when we talk to our children, it's not don't hit. It's like this is when you do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for sure.
I also think with this clip, nowadays a lot of like divorce is such a high rate.
Yeah.
Right. I think there is almost like a little bit of a lack of loyalty.
Yeah.
You know, like people are quick to fucking like the grass looks greener over there, quick to hop out, quick. So I think there should be. And I don't know if that was really the point of the clip, but that was something I got
No,
from
but
it. Where
that
it's like
seems to be. I get what you're saying. That seems to be like a tactic of the Manosphere, is to take a truth, an undeniable truth, that people are too quick, too triggered to pull the trigger and get out, and then be like, yeah, if you get hit once or twice, like, no, there's a pretty wide gap between those two things,
abuse,
man.
you get out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a pretty wide gap
that's
between
not-
everybody's getting divorced these days, and what you can't take a right hook? Like that's a it's a big gap there.
There's lines that when they're crossed,
Yeah.
it's time to. There's a reason for divorce.
Yeah, this is a very old school mentality, and it's a very Irish Catholic mentality. It's like, the Irish guy, there would be a joke where they call it the Irish kiss, right? And the joke would be like Irish women were mouthy. They were mouthy. And, the Irish guy would get drunk because he never talked about his feelings. He was the Irish stoic. He was the quiet man, John Wayne, the quiet man. He'd get drunk and, hit her or something like that. And then she'd, he'd go to church on Sunday and apologize to the priest, put $10 in the basket, say 10 Hail Marys, and then, she'd forgive him and they'd have another 16 kids. So I don't think that that's the right way to do it. I know that there were women in my family. My grandma was an abuse victim. I don't ever see a reason for a man to hit a woman. I don't ever see a reason for a woman to stay in a relationship with a man who hits her. Although, this one's for you, Manosphere. I do feel like women are breaking the social bonds. I feel like women are breaking the rules of the détente.
What do you mean?
When they get in a man's face and they hit men or they threaten men or they
Well,
act like a man and all that
I don't
shit.
think that women should be hitting men either.
Well, when they act very, very aggressively as a man would act, but they know they have this plot armor of if he hits me, I'm the victim
going to
immediately.
jail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Yellowstone?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't.
No? Oh
No.
my God. There's this fucking amazing scene. And there's this one brother that is just such a bitch. Like he's like the
His name
corporate
Jamie?
yeah, he's the
Yeah.
corporate lawyer. No one really likes him. And then there's this wild sister and she goes in.
Oh yeah.
And she starts getting in his face. She's like, be a man, be a man. And she's like fucking mauling him, right? And finally he takes a hook and knocks her down. And he's like, am I a man now? And she stood up and wiped her lip and she goes, a man would have never hit me. And then you have to see the scene for context.
I remember it. Yeah.
And so he goes in and then the dad is like, you touch your sister again, I'll fucking knock you through a wall. And it's certain things you don't do. And I don't agree with women hitting men. I do think that you are engaging with someone much bigger, stronger, and then whatever is happening, you have to take your role in whatever happens next. However, I do know men that like there's, aside from like her having a weapon or something, there's not going to be any amount of her hitting him that he's going to pop her like that.
No, never.
But
Never.
if she has like a knife or a gun,
For sure, that's different.
you can clock a bitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You have to protect yourself too. But I'm
Yeah.
saying like some girl who's not going to really do any damage if she's doing that.
Right. You can grab the
remove her-
wrists and get out of there.
Get her off you and leave, right? You don't need to fucking knock her out.
No, you don't.
It's overkill.
It's overkill.
Right.
But I have picked him up and moved him into another room before, though.
That's
Yeah.
kidnapping, dude. That's kidnapping.
I have grabbed
Don't-
him by
why
the
would you admit
shoulders,
that? Cut that
picked
part
him
out.
up, walked into the bedroom, threw him in the bedroom, put the door behind me, and left.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't
All
think
right.
that there's a problem
It's fine.
with that.
It's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I said so.
it's fine. You heard that, Manosphere? Yeah, it's impossible for me to think that guy's being serious. And if he is being serious, man, oh man, please come on the podcast.
Yeah,
come on our
we
podcast.
invite you.
Anytime you
the
want,
first
open
guest to Cancel
invitation
Weekly.
to sit here and explain yourself. Arm's length from Mickey and I. Speaking of open invitations, whenever they want, Neil deGrasse Tyson, you have one too.
So now now just to tie a bow on this, I say to you, somewhere I think I read that the United States was a land where we have the pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
Suppose no matter my chromosomes, today I feel 80% female, 20% male. I'm gonna put on makeup. I'm gonna do that. Tomorrow I might feel 80% male. I'll remove the makeup and I'll wear a muscle shirt. Why do you care? What business is it of yours to require that I fulfill your inability to think of gender on a spectrum? And what I've found in the human mind is that we go out of our way to put things in categories, in bins, all right? Because that makes it easier for us. So that's why people come up to you and say, well, you a boy, are you a girl? Choose one. Which are you? I say, no, maybe I'm a little of both. Wait, maybe a little above it. No, you have to be one or the other. No, I will not be what you require just because you can't think on a spectrum. I'm going to be what I want to be. And we have known this as children. Every single class, there was the girl who was the tomboy. We have words for them. Tomboy. There's the tomboy who wore boys' clothes, who got dirty with the boys. And she didn't have long hair. She had short hair. And even if she did have long hair, it was tied up in a bun so it didn't get in the way.
Stephen A's there the whole time?
Yeah,
Wait,
Stephen
so
A.
I got a
Stephen
quick
A's
question.
podcast.
When did Neil deGrasse Tyson become a fucking idiot?
Yeah, dude.
What the fuck's he talking about? It's no we're and let me go first real quick. No one's be whatever you want to be. But like I can't be expected to know and properly gender you each day if it's going to be different and going to be a vacillating thing. If on you want to wear a muscle shirt and be this on Monday, then on Tuesday you want to do this, and I was just calling you this on. That's the hard part. Anyone be what you want to be. God bless, but
precisely. That was so fucking.
That was so stupid.
That was so disingenuous.
When did he become a fucking idiot? I thought he was a smart guy. Wasn't he a Harvard
Nobody is telling you
cat?
don't be what you want to be. That's not the argument. The argument is don't make us fucking pay for gender reassignment surgeries in the military. Don't shove the shit down the kids' throats. Don't take a vulnerable kid in a government school and say, hey, you know why you're not fitting in, kid? It's because you're really a girl. Don't do that. Don't weaponize the system. It's not about Jethro and the boys can't handle the spectrum. These fucking idiots that aren't in an Ivy League school can't think on a spectrum like us fucking elites. Jerk off.
Yeah, what the fuck is
It's
that?
a disingenuous argument you just made. You manipulative piece of shit. That's what you are. You're a manipulative piece of shit. Open invitation still, whenever you want. Manipulative fucking piece of shit. It's a disingenuous argument. Nobody cares.
Hey, what is Neil deGrasse Tyson?
A fucking grifting, disingenuous, manipulative
piece of
elitist
shit.
piece of shit. Nobody says don't put on a dress.
Hey, bro, he wrestled at Harvard. He might grip you up.
Anytime, open invitation. It's about the system. It's about weaponizing the system to promote your activism on vulnerable people. It's about taking people's hard-earned tax dollars and mutilating vulnerable people.
Yeah.
There's nobody that has a single issue with a crossdresser. There's nobody has an issue with guys wearing makeup.
Be what you want to be.
Fucking
Do what you wanna do.
David Bowie, one of the
God
best-selling
bless.
artists of all time. Mrs. Doubtfire, everybody's favorite movie. Nobody gives a shit.
God bless.
Nobody
Maybe have a little
fucking cares.
understanding if someone misgendered you, if you're going to be one thing on Monday and a different thing on fucking Tuesday.
Nobody cares.
To his point. Just
Be
to
cool-
his point.
Be cool, honey bunny.
Be cool, baby.
Be cool, honey bunny.
That's fucking wild, man. I remember listening. That's a real disappointment because I remember listening to him. I don't know what happened to him. I thought he was a smart guy.
That dude makes me feel like everything he's ever said about the universe.
Now you
is
got
fucking
everything,
wrong.
right?
Now,
Reinvestigate black holes because
that's it,
everything
man.
is
Might have went to the
out.
fucking moon.
You know what? Now I believe flat Earth. I'm a flat earther.
But it's
now.
also crazy
Fuck.
too to say that, you know, if you're a woman, it has everything to do with how you're presenting on the outside. I must have been feeling 80% masculine and male when I came in today because I didn't put my makeup on.
Oh,
so I'm
stop.
really sorry, guys. And then somewhere in
wanna say
between,
anything.
I decided I was going to be a woman today. So then I put my makeup on. So before I was really, you know, feeling like a man, but right now I'm confused because my hair's tied back. So I'm sending mixed messages. So I understand if people are going to misgender me because, you know, my femininity and my womanhood completely relies on my hair being down and my makeup being done, and hopefully I'm in a dress.
And we're both straight white males who went to public school, so there's no way we can possibly understand
No.
Yeah.
what's happening.
Let me know if I need to talk a little slower.
The spectrum, yeah.
I don't know how or when I oppressed you, but I've been told I did, so
Okay, well,
I apologize.
apology not accepted.
Fuck.
I'm sorry.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. Jesus Christmas, man.
Yeah, it sucks when you see someone that used to like really just go down.
Go off the deep
Yeah.
end. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That's like sad.
I don't know. To me, I see that, and you know what I say, Mick? Good. Good. Because now everybody
There's
else
a fallen idol.
Because now everybody else can see that these Harvard professors are pieces of shit, and
Sure.
they're not any better than anybody else.
pieces of shits everywhere.
This false credentialism, this idea that he's a professor at Harvard, so you should listen to him. No, he's an idiot. And worse than an idiot, he's a manipulator. He's not dumb. He's manipulative, which is even worse. That's a gaslighting, manipulative piece of shit who thought of a fucking straw man and then fought that straw
What's
man.
his agenda? What's his
He
agenda?
thought
That's
of
the
a straw
question.
man and he beat the straw man to death. Like, oh, just because you can't handle on the spectrum that I feel like a woman today, and tomorrow I wear a muscle shirt like the man.
Does he have kids?
I don't know. I would assume so, but that's me making
Christian,
assumptions.
does Neil deGrasse
Christian,
Tyson have children?
Christian, when she asks questions,
The truth is, the unfortunate truth, and probably the biggest takeaway from that whole video that is what college professors are like.
He has two
today.
kids.
2 kids.
The overwhelming majority of college. Did you know in Harvard there are more?
Maybe. All right. Now let's.
Did you know in Harvard there are more registered communists than registered Republicans on the faculty?
Oh, whoa.
On the faculty of Harvard
Registered
University,
as a communist?
there are more.
Yeah, can you register as a communist?
Yeah, it's Communist Party of the United States. United States of America. Yeah, absolutely. It's still America.
See, you learn things
Yeah.
here on Canceled Weekly.
So there are more registered communists than registered Republicans on the faculty of Harvard. Now, whether you like the
You think
Republican
maybe
Party or
he's
not, whether you
projecting-
like the Republican Party or
Oh,
not,
you're
it's
still going, my
50%
bad.
of the country. No, please go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, that's it. That's all I had to say.
All right. So maybe he's projecting. Maybe one of his kids.
That's what I was thinking.
Are like doing I'm this day, I'm this day, I'm this day.
Well, then I say, what the likelihood of that is? What is the likelihood that that's because they grew up around Harvard and Cambridge, where all this shit's coming from? All this shit's coming from Harvard, Berkeley, and a lot of their funding comes from where?
Why?
Yeah, the Confucius School.
Critical theory is what they're using. Critical theory is the wedge they're using to put the divide.
What's the why?
What do you mean?
It undermines democracy,
undermines it,
and then
yeah.
you can infiltrate and take over without violence, without a war.
Apply to the proletariat. It's the Bolshevik Revolution. It's the Mao's Cultural Revolution. If people want to check it out, Mao's Cultural Revolution, the Four Olds, even better. The Four Olds.
Yeah.
You know, when the Summer of Love happened, when they were tearing everything down mostly peacefully, what were they going after?
Because this bullshit's undermining our society.
That's right.
That's why.
Yeah, because think of the culture that we have, right? The culture that we have is built on disobedience. Our forefathers, the people that we're supposed to look up to, the people that formed this country, they were disobedient bastards.
To the crown, to England.
Yeah, how dare they? They were ungrateful plebs.
Yeah.
So now, instead of them being noble for freeing a continent from what was the globalist tyranny of the time, now we look at them and they say, fuck, man, these guys are pretty badass, man. These dudes are really noble dudes. They stood up for something. They risked everything. They stood up against the globalists and they won. And then after they won, they didn't even keep the whole damn thing for themselves. They gave it to the people.
Yeah.
What can we possibly? How can
George
we possibly,
Washington could have been king.
How can we
He was
possibly?
a reluctant president.
How do we make these people bad? How do we show these people that that's not that they shouldn't aspire to be that? They're slave owners. Boom. Everything they did is wrong. They were slave owners. There's no nuance. There's no context. You can't say, okay, that was bad, but they can't say you can't, put it in the parlance of the times. No, they were slave owners. They're racists. Therefore, the country they formed is racist. Therefore, this country's got to go away, and it's got to restart. We'll burn it to the ground, and we'll build a new country, pure, in our image. And that's the dream that they're selling. The dream that they're selling. Yeah, why would we even want this stupid country with idiot racist farmers? No, it should be us, the smart ones who got into Harvard, the elites, the chosen people. That's who should be running this place.
Did you ever hear RFK talk about the bunkers that they have? And there's like McDonald's and everything. And basically, if there's any kind of global threat, that they're going to take all of the elected officials and the president and all of that and put them into this bunker so that they'll be protected. And the idea that they're going to be the only ones left alive to procreate and restart humanity is nothing short of just it's comical. You're like, we're fucked.
As
if that
it should be.
happens,
And you
we're
can find
fucked.
these bunkers at your local McDonald's.
They're old missile silos.
No, they have
They're
like
deep in the mountains and they're old missile silos.
they have malls and
Yeah.
everything inside of them. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what he was saying in an interview.
I want to get some video of this for our next episode of Cancel.
Yeah, the next episode of Kansas. And not only that, but then I'll double down with this video I just saw of an old Russian scientist trying to get people not to be scared of nuclear weapons or nuclear energy. I'm sorry. So he's eating uranium and he's
Oh my
bathing.
God.
He's bathing in the water to show that the radiation poisoning has been overblown. Your
Who's
body
this,
can adjust to it.
Rasputin over here?
Yeah, he lived to be 82, which is wild. He lived to be 82. Yeah. Man, that Neil deGrasse Tyson pissed me off. Can we get something funny
Yeah, what
to
the
like
hell, Tyson?
cleanse
Oh, I got
my palate
something.
here?
You guys are gonna love this, especially
You
G.
got something for us?
Oh yeah, I got something. This is from me.
Oh.
G's gonna like this one.
It's a kitten? Oh.
Mia Khalifa in a mask. Just wait.
I just got back from traveling and I have to walk my dog, so safety first.
Oh, no.
Everyone has to wear a mask.
No.
That's a joke.
That's a staged prank.
That's staged.
That's a staged
totally
prank.
staged.
That's funny.
That has to be staged.
That's a staged prank.
So I thought we
don't
weren't
know.
gonna like her
I
at
don't
first
know.
when we saw her put the thing on the dog, but
Yeah.
now I feel like we like her.
I guess.
Do we?
I think staged pranks should be punishable by death. So I'm not on board.
But that was funny. She made
at
herself
least
a
it was
shit
good.
face.
Yeah, she made herself. It was cool. It was self-deprecating at least. It's
Yeah.
not like one of those guys who like runs up to people in the mall, and I hate them so
Oh
much.
man, you know what? I'm gonna start
I hate them
putting
so
those. You're gonna
much.
start seeing some good ones of those.
I
I'm gonna
hate-
start adding those.
Man, maybe I can manifest it. I want these guys to try to prank me so bad one day. Please let
just-
it be me.
What would you
I'm
do?
gonna set it up.
Commit a felony.
Some of these guys follow me. I'm gonna be like, hey, let's set one up with my boys. It's gonna be funny. Blah blah
It'll
blah.
be hilarious. It's
Yeah.
gonna be so funny.
Yeah.
But the funniest part would be let me know that it's happening so we can have Christian film the prank being filmed.
I'm not gonna let you know, but I'm gonna make sure they roll the cameras no matter what.
Make sure Christian's filming the prank
Oh,
because
God.
yeah.
He's gonna stick out like a sore thumb with that hair.
Yeah, that'd be great. That would be something. Yeah, I don't know. I think I still think our best finishing clip was Bane Cat. Give this cat the Oscar.
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
Oh my gosh.
Bane Cat was
Yeah,
incredible.
maybe because it ended so quickly.
Bane Cat, what did you not like about Bane Cat?
I liked his eyes a little bit, but everything else, I didn't like it.
You
I like the
dog,
succulent
this is what I
Chinese
like.
meal.
Succulent
that
Chinese.
was a
That's
good
that's
one.
great.
I like that guy.
That was
That's
the
great.
best
That's
one.
the best one so far.
I think so
Yeah.
too.
What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
Succulent Chinese meal. You know who else likes Chinese food? Us here at Canceled Weekly. Watch us next week, and we'll tell you why. Peace.